In this episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast, I'm joined by Ella Caggiano to be discussing health and fitness and her own journey through health and fitness and what it's been like moving from Boston to Florida and so many other amazing things about her own fitness journey. You're really going to like this episode. Ella is an incredible individual, and we're super excited to have her on the podcast today. Before we get to this amazing episode, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors. Ella, welcome onto the show. Excited to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So for people who haven't seen your TikTok channel, your Instagram, could you kind of share a little bit about yourself and your fitness background?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ella Caggiano. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Boston, and I currently go to school at the University of Miami. I'm in Miami right now, and my parents are jealous of the weather for sure. I guess starting back in high school, I really got into Spartan races, which was like a really big part of my growing up. I don't know if you know what those are, the obstacle course races situation. That was a really big part of my passion for fitness growing up. I kind of, like every other high school girl, really did struggle a lot with like body image and all of that stuff, which kind of really sparked that journey to turn, my mindset into like healthy, strong mindset instead of like a skinny mindset, if that makes sense. That was a big part of my mental health, physical health journey growing up in high school. Started my Instagram my senior year of high school. And from there, I just really found a passion for helping other people. I certified as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. And so now I do a lot of online coaching now through my own platform. And I compete in powerlifting here and there here at school. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It sounds like you've really done a little bit of everything there, Ella, from Spartan races to powerlifting and everything in between. That's very impressive. Kind of going through that one by one here. So you said you went from Boston to Miami. How did the workouts change when you went from Northeast, New England area, cold, snowy, to sunny, always warm Miami?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because a really big part of the reason why I went to Miami in the first place is because I just hate the cold. I hate the weather a lot. And there's other amazing reasons why I chose this school and why I'm here. But that was a big proponent of it, because the weather's kind of can be really depressing in the winters. And, this really seemed like the place for me. And so I really love being outside. So for me, it really gave me the opportunity to spend more time, exercising outside and doing other things outside, sure. But I think it's really increased my fitness level because of my desire to move more, is because I have this beautiful place that I live in, and I can always kind of go out and explore. Or, obviously I'm in college, so I have to walk from class to class. And, just from the parking lot of my, like where I can park my car at school, I have the farthest classes from where I park. So it's like a 20-minute walk to class and stuff like that. So, in that regard, for sure, that was a big part of it. I was really big into running during quarantine. My freshman year of college, we got sent home for spring break. And so I spent like the second half of my first year online. So I ended up running a lot. I ended up running, I guess, the length of a marathon, and I didn't run a marathon, but there was no marathons open. So it was just my way of staying active. But, running is way more fun here, I got to say, because the weather just kind of, doesn't get it for me.
I definitely feel like I'm always in a better mood in the sunshine. And there's something about those like outdoor warm, like beach or poolside workouts that just hit different, having the option to break out of the walls of the gym every now and then, or even a gym that has an outdoor section. When I was in Arizona last summer, a lot of gyms had outdoor workout areas and power racks and turf and sleds and all that stuff. And it was so nice to be able to get a workout in outside instead of, confined within the walls of the gym.
For sure. And I think even like growing up in a high school setting, I played sports through high school as well. It's like you go to school and then you've got practice and then you're done. Whereas like now where I'm, here I have my apartment by myself. I'm in this beautiful area. Fitness kind of I'm able to like engulf fitness into all components of my life, because I can always just kind of go out and move, as opposed to having it as like a specific sectioned off part of my day. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, for sure. When do you like to work out? Do you go early morning? Do you go late at night?
I wish that I was someone that could wake up and like wanted to get to the gym right away. But for me, I really look forward to it in the evening of my day. So I'm more like a 5 p.m. kind of girl. I really do look forward to my gym session after my classes and stuff. I find that when I wake up in the morning, I'm the most clear headed to do work, and I'm the most clear headed to get my tasks done, and I'll just jump right into school and or to my fitness stuff as well. So then, when all of that kind of is said and done, I can get to the gym, and that's also the time where a lot of my friends go. So I really like to be social at the gym too. So I really look forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. That gives you the benefits from training, but also the benefits of seeing people and being around people, which I think we all took for granted before COVID happened, for
Totally.
sure.
I could not agree more with that. Yeah, it's something I really look forward to every single day. Is not only obviously the workout, but even in the days where I'm super busy all day and don't see that many people, or I'm just going to class or whatever, it's a time where I can go be social and see people. I'm not someone that like goes into the gym and doesn't want anyone to talk to them. Like I'm always saying hi to people, talking to people in between sets. Like my workouts can be a little longer that way, and maybe it kind of deters my focus a bit, but it ends up being just a really, really nice part of my day that I really look forward to and seeing all my friends. So
Yeah, definitely. Do you have like a preferred gym you go to? Are you a fan of big box gyms or like the smaller local ones or?
I mean, it really does depend. I like trying new gyms here and there. I do go to the school gym the most just because it's the easiest for me. We have access to a powerlifting gym because I'm on the team here at school. But I do end up just going to the school gym for the most part, just out of convenience, and also just because that's where a lot of my friends go as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like your school is pretty impressive there. Mine had one gym and, powerlifting teams were not in existence at our college. So it sounds like you've really got the full
Mhm.
setup there. That's amazing. So how did you go? How'd you
Yeah,
get into powerlifting from the Spartan race background? Because if you grew up, you're running a lot, you said in high school, and even when COVID hit, you went back to that running. How did you get into more of the powerlifting, strength, and all that kind of focus?
I mean, to be honest, I think I really do like to try out different forms of fitness because not because I think that I'm going to end up just sort of sticking to one thing and really working to excel at it, but more I just really love staying fit and I love having a routine and staying consistent and having a goal to work towards. So I sort of just like to describe it as like my now project, right? Like right now is I'm very strength focused, trying to lift heavy and do all of that stuff, but is that subject to change? Absolutely. I think it just does come down to, what grabs my interest at that given time. And right now, strength training has been super fun for me, especially as like a personal trainer who trains for primarily strength athletes or people, also like weight loss and muscle gaining athletes, but all primarily targeted towards strength training in the gym, right? That's a big, component of all of my programming. So for me, being able to kind of incorporate trying out people's workouts before I program it for them, or just having that kind of free will to try out those different exercises and do that. That's sort of just my thing right now. I might get back into running at some point. It just depends on my interests on what's going on and what I'm feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I really love that you look at fitness as something that's fun and enjoyable and you don't just get caught up in the, routine and monotony of, well, I'm going to do the same thing that I've always done today because that's all I know how to do, right? You kind of trial different things, you keep it fun, adventurous, exciting, and that's what one thing that I think people need to do more of when it comes to fitness is they need to kind of get away from the mold of, okay, I wake up, I go to the gym, period. It's, hey, maybe today you go to the gym, maybe tomorrow you do an outdoor workout, maybe the next day you go for a run. Like fitness looks different for every person. And because of that, you don't have to like get caught up in these like molds and templates and plans where you're doing the same thing week after week after week. Like, yes, that will get you results, but you can get results while having fun and enjoying the process.
I could not agree more. I honestly have gone through all this not without those ruts, right? We all kind of go through, okay, this is kind of getting monotonous. And for me personally, because I'm not competing at an extremely high level, like I will compete with the USA Powerlifting Organization And I've done Spartan through other organizations and stuff, but it's not like I'm, a professional athlete or something like that. So that sort of gives me the ability to try out different things. It makes a lot of sense for me in my lifestyle. And I would like to think that that's sort of that's sort of like where most people lie, on that spectrum of, you don't need to be amazing at this one aspect of fitness. Whereas I think a lot of people, when they want to start working out, at least this is in my own experience, people think that there's just that one, okay, I've got to go to the gym and lift this amount of sets and this amount of reps and then go do like this cardio and stuff like that. And for some people that routine really, really works, and they get in and they get out and they love that. But for a lot of people, that is the actual thing that holds them back, because they're doing things that they don't want to do. So I'm a big one of being able to kind of pick and choose your fitness as your life goes on, and as you want to adapt it to the life that you are building for yourself in that given moment.
Spot on. And I hate how people feel like there's like a set time they have to be at the gym with, right? Like some people will be like, well, I didn't work out for 60 minutes today, so it doesn't count. Or like, I have to be there for 2 hours to get a good workout in. And it's like, I have hit better workouts in 40-minute time intervals than I have in 90-minute intervals at times. And, the opposite can be true. Sometimes you go in and you have a marathon, 2.5 hour gym session, and you just, sweat it out, get all, whatever you're harboring, you let it all out, and you feel pretty good afterwards. But it's not you're consistent in that you show up every day, but it's inconsistent in that it looks a little different each day. And I also like how you touched on the point of competition in your case, competing with powerlifting. I feel like competing tends to bring out the best in people, whether that be from a sports standpoint or just any kind of competition in general. And when you can positively influence your own health and mental well-being and get that competitive edge, competitive aspect to it, I feel like life really becomes exciting. And, again, that looks different for everyone, right? Maybe you compete in like a running thing or a cycling thing or a triathlete kind of event. Maybe you compete in powerlifting. Maybe you compete in bodybuilding, figure, whatever it is. But in general, that competitiveness that the sports bring out really brings the best in people, I think.
For me, 100%, that was probably one of the biggest things that positively influenced my mindset around fitness, because when you're going through like trying to figure out kind of what works for you, and you like exercise, and you want to figure something out with that, without that lack of goal, for me at least, it's very hard for me to want to stay motivated unless I have a goal in mind. And that goal doesn't have to be a competition, but it does create competition with yourself, right? So for me personally, I have certain strength numbers that I want to hit at certain times, or even just like goals of consistency, because without setting those like little things, whether it is like a big competition that you're going to, you're going to go compete at X time to do whatever, I think a lot of people, and especially myself, is what I had to experience is without having those common goals in place, like whether it's those little ones of lifting an extra 5 pounds on, your bench press, or it's, trying to stay consistent 5 days in the gym, or it's, winning some sort of competition. Without those little things in place, it's really easy to get lost in the monotony of that component of your life, I definitely think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. As we're kind of talking about fitness and powerlifting here, I'm curious, what's been the biggest lesson that you feel you've learned from your own fitness journey and as a powerlifter as well? What have you really kind of learned from that aspect of your life that's kind of had a broader impact on the rest of your life?
Yeah, that is something that I've actually reflected on so much this year, because my answer this year would have been an answer that like I've never had before. And that's that like fitness doesn't have to be my life, but it can be a part of my life. And for a very long time, I think I really took fitness as like a big part of my identity, right? Like, oh, I was always doing this. I was always consistent. I was always working hard, eating perfect. But like, since I've been at school, this is like really the first year of college, because I'm a junior, and, we've obviously been going through everything with the pandemic. This has been like the first year where a lot of stuff has opened up, and I've been able to experience a lot of things in college that I wasn't really able to experience before. And so last semester, I really tried to dedicate a lot more time in my life to my social life, to other components of my life, to working hard in school, which was always a component, but really made it like a big portion of my desire to learn and things like that. Or, not always being perfect and consistent with things. And while I do definitely preach that those are the ways to get results, at this point in my life, the biggest goal that I've really think that I've achieved is understanding that fitness is something that I love right now because I'm not making it this obsession, and it's not something that I have to prioritize at all aspects of every single day. And while I think it's important for me to get to the gym on a consistent basis, which I do, that doesn't mean, like you said, that I have to have 2.5 hour workouts or I need to spend that much time in the gym. If my time allows me for 45 minutes, I think prior I would probably have just said screw it all together and just like considered it an L for the day. But now just getting in for those 45 minutes, making it a component of my life without making it like taking it and letting it overbear all the other components of my life that are just as rich and fulfilling and deserve that attention as well. I think people say like, oh, you want like a healthy, balanced lifestyle. And I think people throw that around a lot. And then I also read like in personal development books and podcasts, and I hear like you can't always have balance. You need to prioritize, one thing if you want to be really great at it. But I think that there's a component of those two things that it just comes with your lifestyle. For me personally, incorporating my social life, incorporating, not always, having a perfect diet, not always making every single workout, not every workout's going to be perfect. Like that stuff I really needed to realize that fitness is something that I love, and that should be the sole driver and the sole reason for me doing this, not because I feel like I have to or make it like the center of my life.
I completely agree with everything you just said, Ella. That is a amazing point. And I love how you brought up the aspect of, what is talked about in podcasts and personal development books so frequently, because we often live in this society where we feel like work is the answer. And I like to say that Americans are one of the few types of people that in general will work themselves to death, for lack of a better way to put it. I've seen people work 80-hour weeks, 100-hour weeks, and they just carry on like it's, just expected of them. And they continue to push forward. And these same people are concerned about their fitness as well, right? So they're putting in, 12 to 15-hour work days, and then they're trying to get a workout in on top of that. And then they're going home and trying to do stuff, and they don't have time to sleep. They don't have time to socialize with their friends. Their whole lifestyle is a grind. And I don't want to like skew the message here. It is important at times to grind. You're only going to get what you work for in life. However, you have to kind of calculate the benefits and risks with that grind, right? So if you are losing your sense of self, if you are losing your identity, if you are confused about that type of stuff, if you're not feeling fulfilled with the work that you're doing, then naturally those are signs that it might be time to redirect your course in life, right? Like you should be able to live the life that you want to live, whether it be on a personal side or a fitness side, while still enjoying it and having fun and being able to socialize with your friends. And I think that's a memo that is constantly getting skewed, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think I myself probably don't do the best at being fully transparent about this stuff on social media as well, right? Like, people look at social media, or people look at, these different people that they follow the workouts and whatever, and they only see the fitness side. They never see like the other side. Like I don't post on my Instagram when I'm going out to the bar. I don't post when I'm, grabbing drinks with friends or that sort of thing. But it's like, maybe I should, because now it's showing that kind of transparent side, that side that people don't see, right? We live in a world of unrealistic expectations is what I'm ultimately trying to get at here in a much more long-winded roundabout way than you put it.
No, I completely agree. And I think that those grind phases, they are exactly that. They're phases. Like there's definitely been times in my life where I've like stuck my nose down, and I've gone through periods where it was, consistent hard work for, even building my own personal business and brand, which I started building when I was 18 years old. And, keeping that a consistent part of my life and making that sort of the center of, okay, this is a couple of months time where I need to really, put put this at the forefront and really, really work hard and kind of shut out those other things. That's, in my opinion, a very important part of getting to where you need to be. There are sometimes where you do need to, shut out those extra influences. And I've gone through that a few times over the summer. That was a big part of it. And then when I was home in quarantine, I did the 75 hard challenge. And that was a really big time where I was very self-focused, driving on only one sort of one goal and not really focusing on other things, kind of had my blinders on. But those times are not forever, right? Because now I'm in a time in my life where I've got one more year of school, I've got one more year of college after this, and I just sort of want to make the most of everything that my life has to offer me here, while also fulfilling the goals that I've set for myself in a realistic way. And I've read so many books. I love reading. And I was talking to my mom over the summer because I've always been like a stressed out kid. I've always kind of been someone that's always wanted to be farther in my life than where I am at that moment. I've always kind of been looking 10 steps ahead instead of stopping to look at the trees, instead of looking at that whole forest, right? And my mom said something to me. She was like, why don't you just like take some time and read a book for pleasure? Like, stop reading these personal development books all the time. If you're going to read something for pleasure. And so I did. And that, it sounds so stupid, but that was like such an eye-opening experience to me, because I was like, not everything I have to do has to be productive for my like entrepreneurial life or like my fitness life. Like, not everything has to be centered around these like goals of success that I have in my life. And so, having a mix of those things is, at the end of the day, we're all here for a finite amount of time. And so being able to really take the most and squeeze the most out of life at the given moment that you're in is something that I've been working really, really hard on recently. And I think I'm doing a better job of it this year than I ever have before.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm so glad that you're really on top of things and really killing the game, for lack of a better way to put it. I completely agree with that struggle. When you're out there trying to build your own brand, whatever that looks like. We're obviously both in the health and fitness space, but that looks a little different for everyone, right? Like, I have a patient at the clinic who owns his own cleaning company, and he's working day and night trying to keep that thing up and running because, well, we're still in the COVID time, so he has a lot of demand. And it can be very difficult to balance the pleasure stuff with the work stuff, especially when it's your name attached to it, right? When your name's attached to something, it really means more than anything to you, because you want that to have meaning. You want it to be seen as something valuable, and you want people to see that and be like, wow, look at this person. Look at what they're doing with their life, their business. Like, this is something that I like. This is something I support. 5-star review, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to lose yourself in that process and just start missing out on, like you said, the little daily pleasures that we often take for granted. In your case, you mentioned about reading, right? So you read books to get better, to get smarter, to further grow your brand, right? Like, for me, I think about like when I first started reading Jonathan Goodman books, I was hooked. Like, the dude is a wizard, and I was learning a lot. I was taking notes, but it's a lot to sit there and read a 300-page book and take detailed notes about it and fully comprehend it, right? It takes a lot of time out of your day. And, maybe you could have cut down on that reading and balanced it out with something else. Spend time with your friends, spend time with your family. Sure, you're not getting as far ahead, but you're connecting yourself socially with people. And, that could be part of the recipe for success sometimes. Sometimes you just got to connect with the right people. And if you're always going through life with your face down in a book and not looking up and taking action every now and then, you're ultimately holding yourself back from, one, pleasure, and two, true success.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think a lot of those books kind of articulated struggle in ways that I had never really experienced before too, which life-altering injuries or major setbacks for things that they like have experienced. And everybody has their own journey and their own stories. And like, even, from my own experience growing up in high school, I was just in a very, very horrible place mentally, which is what kind of prompted me to even fall in love with fitness in the first place. I needed to hit that rock bottom. And in November, I lost my Instagram account, which I had been building for about 3.5 years, or about 3 years. And so that was like really traumatic for me because it's something so simple as like an Instagram account, but that was the fitness community that I had built for years, and that was at the same time that I was launching my mobile app that I now use for my clients, and was a really big deal for me, something I'd been working on forever. And hearing that struggle being articulated in a book, and then actually being able to experience something that really truly knocked me down onto the ground, for me to basically look at this whole situation that I had built and say, well, so what do I do now? Like, all of this is completely like, my Instagram was hacked by some guy in another country, which, was challenging for me, mainly because it was the community that I had brought in over this time. But that struggle was really the main thing that prompted me to want to continue to be more motivated than ever, even though it took me about a month and a half to realize that, and really I think probably let myself wallow a little bit longer than maybe I needed to. But like learning about and hearing about struggles, and then also like seeing it translate into your own life. And for me, I had to make that decision of, and I was articulating to people, hey, like, because I lost this, I don't know if I'm going to rebuild it. Like, I don't know if I'm going to rebuild this Instagram account. I don't really know. This is like, something I worked so hard on, and it's like gone now, and I don't know what to do about it. But then, just by, hearing and being inspired by others, those books did provide me that support and beneficial kind of motivation to be like, no, this is exactly what they're saying. This is the exact time that I was supposed to get back on my feet and keep moving, to start redirecting, to start move into a different direction. So I think that those books can be something that inspire and motivate and move you. And while they're not something that I think I need to stick only towards the personal development books and things like that, and also like making sure that there's room for other great things in my life, I definitely got something out of it in terms of my ability to comprehend what it really means to push past struggle.
Yeah, for sure. And I can imagine that really hurts when you spend so much time over the years, building a huge online following and community, and then losing it all. But in this case, one, you and your success is not measured by a number of followers, in my opinion, anyways. And
Yeah.
two, you've went through it once, so you're going to rebuild it, and it's going to be bigger and better than it ever was before, because now now you have a website, now you have the app, and now you have TikTok, which I understand you're doing pretty well with too.
Yeah, that was something I kind of redirected my focus towards TikTok a little bit, because I was seeing some great feedback on it. And it also really helped me realize, like, even though I had, built that Instagram, and it had been a really, really huge part of my life, and still is a big part of my life, obviously. But you're right, my success was by no means at all measured in the amount of followers that I have, because I was able to launch my brand, and I'm doing great, and like things are really like going well for me. But I don't think I would have I didn't think it was possible for me to get back up on my feet for a little bit after that had happened, because it was something that I knew was going to take more time, which, like I said, I never feel like I have enough of. So it all kind of came hand in hand of like, what am I going to do now with this thing that I've launched, and I've got no platform to put it on. So I've really directed myself towards TikTok a little bit more, which I had a hard time with at first, because it was just such a different shipping content for me. But it's fun. Like, I genuinely enjoy making content for that platform. And I'm on like fitness TikTok, you know what I mean? Like, my entire Explorer feed or whatever is on my For You page is fully TikToks in relationship to fitness. So as a result of that, like, I've made some great friends like all over the country who are into fitness and stuff, because they show up on my For You page all the time, and then we'll connect on Instagram or on phone number or whatever it is. So it's actually been a really, really great tool for me to meet new people, which I experienced on Instagram, but at a different level on TikTok. People are way more interactive with one another as creators. So it's been really, really fun to make some new friends through that app.
Yeah, for sure. Now, all creators can probably relate to a point where they kind of hit that struggle point, as you mentioned, that kind of rock bottom point. I feel like most people can relate to that going through life. Now, you hit that point, and then you kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, voluntarily chose to seek it out again by doing a 75-day hard challenge, which for people who aren't familiar with, it's a 75-day process where you work out twice a day, you don't eat any cheat meal, you drink a gallon of water a day, you read 10 pages of a nonfiction book per day, and I think I'm missing something in there.
Progress.
Yes, progress picture per day. So it sounds simple enough. And maybe the first week it is, but usually by day 50, maybe even earlier for some people, it gets really hard because you've just gone 7 weeks without a slice of pizza, without a slice of cake, without any ice cream. It gets tough. And it's really a test of your self-discipline and your willpower. So could you kind of talk through, like, one, what that journey was like for you, and two, what kind of motivated you to voluntarily seek out hard things to do, for lack of a better way to put it?
Yeah. So my freshman year of college was 2019. And so, March, we got sent home for spring break, and they were like, you have to complete the rest of your year at home online, right? You can't come back. So for me, that was really challenging. Like I fell into kind of a depression, and it was really sad. I had just gotten to school. I was really looking to kind of make some big changes in my life. I had just moved to a new state, away from my family, and was trying to, separate myself and make something else of myself that, everybody, I guess, has that hope when they go off to college or whatever, kind of like change who they are, or, make themselves better. Right. And so, getting kind of sent back home after one semester, just being like, just kidding, like, go on back. Right. That was really challenging, and it was extremely motivating for me. And it was really, really hard for me to understand why, because at this point, I think a lot of people had more of a cynical outlook of, why is this happening to the world? And I'm sure some people still do. And but at this time, this was like where we were all kind of confused and upset and hurt by what was going on, right, in all different ways. So for me, I needed to put something into my life that was going to give me a structure, because I didn't have a schedule anymore, B, a goal, and C, something that would allow me to move in a direction where at some point at the end of this, which obviously we didn't know what the end of this was at this time, or still maybe don't, I was a better person than when I came into it, right? So I started it pretty quickly after I got back home. I was like just so not in a great place mentally, and needed something. And it was not without its lack of struggle, right? Of course, it's hard, especially when, you live with your family, and, I'm still like under their roof. So I can not always make my own schedule, and always had, them to consider, and my lifestyle had been changed drastically from theirs, while we're all stuck at home together, completely quarantined, right? But it was definitely one of the best things I think I've ever done for myself, because, choosing to put that into my life really, really put me on this trajectory upwards. Because once I got out of that, I felt in a great place mentally. I was happy. I felt super fit. I was super passionate about documenting my experience online, which really pushed my profile. And allowed me to, gain more exposure, but also just like more connection with others. And it got me to this place where I felt like, if I can do this, I can do a lot more than what I think I can do. And I guess probably the hardest part of it was the diet. And that's mainly because of me living at home, right? It's just not always easy to have your family eat one thing and you like start to cook chicken while they're eating pizza, or whatever. And they're healthy people. That's not to bash anyone, but it was just, I had to be on this different kind of mindset. And it definitely, I would say probably middle of the way, like probably around like day 40-ish, you get to this place where you're like, okay, I get it, right? Oh, I get it. I understand the concept. I've gotten the main takeaways of this program. Like, I get it. But that's exactly when you have to keep going, because now once you get it, it's now instilling it. Because now after this program, I can confidently say like my entire mindset is still been changed because of it, because now I know what it means to wake up and not want to do any of those 5 tasks, right? and not want to work out twice a day, let alone one time you're tired, right? And I was not one that was gonna, go kill myself, work out when my body was tired, right? I would incorporate lower impact workouts when necessary. I made sure that there was adequate rest, and I wasn't running sprints for 45 minutes in the outdoor workout every day. A lot of them were like a recovery base, and et cetera, et cetera. But overall, it allowed me to realize that like putting structure in your life willingly is something that has been so important in my college life, because when you go to college, it's not like a high school schedule where you wake up at 7:30 and then you're done at XYZ, like whatever time, right? Because for me, I don't have classes on Mondays or Fridays. I have like minimal class on Wednesdays, so I could easily not do anything on those days. But now I know what it is like to instill a structure willingly into your life, to allow yourself to get things done, to stay motivated, to stay happy, to accomplish tasks, to fulfill the things that you have set for yourself. That would not have been something, I mean, I'm sure I would have learned it at some point, but that was really the thing that really pushed me to understand the importance of having a structure of anything. That was probably the biggest lesson that I learned. And reading, because I picked up reading in that program, and I haven't stopped. So
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's amazing to me how simple change is, right? There's nothing in this program that's complicated. It's not anything that's earth shattering or groundbreaking. It is overwhelmingly simple. It's 5 things. And if you look at the habits of other successful individuals, we'll take Jeff Bezos, for example. Jeff Bezos during the work week wears the same outfit every single day. He gets up and he has like 5 of them all picked out, and one for Monday, one for Tuesday, one for Wednesday. Elon Musk, he uses time blocking. So, for this part of the day, he does this. For this part of the day, he does that. And it's amazing to me how they use such simple habits and simple routines, and yet it leads to so much success. I feel like in general, there's this belief that we have to do these groundbreaking, earth-shattering things in order to be successful in whatever goal we're trying to, chase after. And in reality, it's a lot more simple than that. We both know it from a fitness sense as well, right? If we want to grow, like, a lot of people will come to me and they say they want to grow muscle, build muscle, and they'll want it in more specific areas than others, right? Guys, just stereotyping a little bit here in my experience, a lot of guys want more muscle in their upper body, and a lot of girls want more muscle in their lower body and their hips. So a lot of them will say, like, look, here's what I've been doing. And that's very helpful. But a lot of times they go out and they're doing these workouts with like 15, 20 different exercises, or they're doing like all these crazy advanced things when they can't even perform a simple squat with like proper form and good mechanics. And what we find is the more simple you make things for people, the better the results are. So, even my own workouts, like I don't get too crazy with stuff. I squat on leg day. I bench on upper body day. I do pull-ups on back day. It's not anything fancy. In some ways, it can get kind of boring doing the same few exercises time and time again. But I find other ways to change them up and modify them, right? You can always play around with it a little bit. And if it's not the exercise that changes, then, maybe it's the music. Sometimes I put on my death metal workout music and, just get angry at the world. And sometimes I may or may not play a Ariana Grande song or something like that. Not going to confirm or deny that one, but hey, we all kind of find our way to change things up and make it work for us. But in general, people are looking way too complicated at things, and we really need to learn how to simplify things, right? We're looking at the sand in the jar instead of the rocks in the jar, so to speak.
I think that's really important. And I for sure even find myself overwhelmed with some of the stuff that I want to accomplish, right? But I've now kind of implemented some tools in my own life that have allowed me to maintain simplicity in more of like a complex life, I guess, and that just comes down to, making simple tasks lists. For me, that's been like a life-changing thing, which sounds so stupid, but I think a lot of people get very, very lost in the future of their success, and they don't realize that, like, if you accomplish 5 things every single day, and that's different for everybody in their professional life, their fitness life, it doesn't really matter what it is. Just crossing off those 5 things, you're like a little bit better than you did before. I respond to 5 emails. I meet with this person. I do this one thing. I do this. I do this. I do those 5 things. It takes maybe 2 hours out of my entire day. Just because I took the time to accomplish those simple tasks that I put on my to-do list, I'm just a little bit better, instead of just thinking, okay, I do these things I'll just speak from a social media perspective. If I do these things today, like if I post one Instagram post or I make one Instagram story, or, just from a social media building a brand perspective, maybe you'll get a couple followers. But if you do that every single day, a couple followers turns into a lot of followers, right? So, I mean, everything is kind of like compounds on top of one another, but it's not without those everyday little small things. And it's simple. It's so simple to be able to just understand, okay, let's break it down into what do I have to do today? Let's not focus on tomorrow or next week or next year or anything like that. Focusing on just finishing today's tasks. And then tomorrow you're farther ahead than when you were yesterday. And it really does add up, even if you just think about it from like a week or a month's perspective, right? Like if you're trying to lose weight and you, out of those 6 out of 5 days or 7 days out of the week, 6 of the days of the week, you accomplish those tasks and you are consistent. 1 week later, you're significantly more ahead than when you were that prior week. And people get so stressed out and they get so down on themselves because they think that one day will ruin their progress, or they think that every 2 days warrants them a day off. It goes both ways. Some people think they have to be perfect, and other people are way too lax with themselves. And I've seen both of them, and I've probably also been both of them at given times in my life. But, I think taking an outside perspective and looking at it as just like a very, very small sliver, instead of seeing it as it not mattering or being super minuscule, that those little things that you can do today won't make a difference. If you focus in only on that, and then you just zoom out a little bit, how was I last week, how was I the week before, you'll realize that your progress in anything that you do, it skyrockets. And it's so important.
No, you're completely right. And I feel like we're both on the same wavelength right now. Like we're hitting all the same points, the things that I always like say and try to like just share with people, right? Like it's all about that simplicity and repetitiveness of being consistent but keeping it simple. And I love the point of doing 5 things a day, because it really is that simple. It's not like anyone's asking you to go out and shift around your life and make a huge paradigm shift in order to make fitness work. It's small steps consistently over and over and over again. So, if you're someone who's just getting started in the fitness space, for example, right? Like it's not like you have to drop every bad food that you've ever eaten, like that. Like it's not like a light switch moment. It's a slow, gradual thing that builds up over time, and it starts to snowball, and then it gets easier and easier and easier because you've got more momentum moving forward. You're starting to see results. You're starting to look different. You're starting to feel different. And all those things just make it easier and easier to keep going. Same thing with social media. You brought up, growing a social media page. And that's something that's very difficult for people to figure out, right? There's different algorithms. The algorithms change. What content do people like? What time is the best to post? Like there's a lot of factors that go into that stuff, and you can really get lost in the weeds. But if you start to focus on just connecting with people and sharing good content that you think people will like, then some of those things don't really matter. Sometimes you can post at 8 p.m. instead of 8 a.m. and still get the same engagement, if not more. If it's good content and you get it in the eyes of the right people, it will succeed. So finding ways to simplify, I feel like that's kind of the theme of the show right now, is just simplicity is just so impactful on your entire life.
I agree. I don't think I've ever really paid too much attention to the algorithms of social media, which has never really been an issue for me. I mean, I'm mindful in what trends are going on. Of course, that's kind of how you have to make it work, especially with TikTok. but more like, I think a lot of people get really overwhelmed in the tiny minute details of everything. You have to do a million exercises to see progress. You have to follow all of these algorithm guidelines and rules in order to succeed on social media. You have to, accomplish a million tasks in order to make any like seeming dent in progress. Like, at the end of the day, if you just narrow it down to those small few things that you can accomplish, those things become habit, and then those become things that you enjoy. Because if you make it complicated, you're not going to want to do it, and then it's not going to become a habit. But if you can just make it, okay, I'm going to try and, for me, I really love walking. So I really try and get out for a walk as much as I possibly can. Yesterday it was torrentially downpouring, so yesterday was an exception. But in general, now, because I'm not forcing myself out to go for a walk, it's something I choose to do because now it's a habit and it's something that I look forward to. It's the same thing with every single part of my life. Your habits become the things that drive your success. So for me, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I love that habits drive success. Speaking of that, we've talked a lot about the 75-day hard, kind of your backstory, what you're doing, where you're going now, and a lot about the importance of simplicity and other habits that have led to success. A lot of people I know are very interested in building their own kind of online brand, whether that be in the health and fitness space or, another sense. One individual I know was trying to build like a video game esports following. And, that's not really my cup of tea. I can't really speak to that. But I feel like if you want to do it, you should be able to find a way to make it happen. So do you have kind of any advice that you would share with people on building their kind of online fitness brand or online presence, and just overall how you went about doing things between the website and the social media and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. The main thing for me, and that I tell most people, is that if you don't actually enjoy what you're posting, like if you don't actually enjoy the content that you're posting and that you're making, you're never going to be able to continue it. Because being someone who puts their life on social media, or, whether it's you being an influencer or you're putting out educational content, doesn't matter what kind of content it is, you have to really feel passionate about the content. And the thing is, the consumer, the audience is way smarter than you think. And being able to be the person that you are in real life also on the screen is something that's way more attractive nowadays than it was prior, because people are really looking for real content now. And so, my main advice for people is just, if this is something that you want to do and you want to share your story and you want to bring people in, especially from a fitness perspective, there are a million online coaches. You can just put fitness into the search bar and you'll scroll forever and find a million coaches that you could go and work with. But the reason that people work with me, the reason that people work with any one of these people who have a presence on social media, is the fact that they like you for you, right? I don't have a PhD. I don't have any credentials that are any more impressive than, another fitness coach online. I would say, I've done my research, I study in school, and I, have my certifications, but people don't come to me because they think I'm the smartest person that they've ever met in terms of fitness. They come to me because they care about me. They think that I'm real. They think that I will help them succeed because they believe in me as a creator. And so as a result of that, that's where I can garner the engagement that I desire, right? Because at the end of the day, you can have 15,000 followers, 20,000 followers, 100,000 followers, but say you're a girl and you're just posting your body online, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. People are welcome to post whatever they want, but that's not going to garner clients that are going to trust you with your fitness and nutrition advice necessarily. Now, if you're doing that, but you're also adding components of sharing your life, showing these real raw moments, showing your insecurities, showing times where you don't look perfect all the time, showing the advice and the tips that you actually have during your day, that's where people can come in and say, oh, this person actually has these systems in place in their own life. I want to adapt, and I want to learn from this person, right? Because those followers who are just there looking for attractive pictures are not going to translate to clients. So, it really just does depend on what you're looking for too. For me personally, I I'm rebuilding my Instagram from none, and I still am getting client applications because I'm still posting that same content that attracted any single given follower to my page in the first place. But that doesn't mean that I need 10,000 followers to have a great follower base or great client base, because I only need a couple people to join my team out of that 100 followers. If I can get 5 of them, if you have 15,000 followers and you can only get one every, couple thousand, because you just don't have those followers that you've garnered that trust with, that's going to be the really big distinguishing factor. And you have to want people to like you for who you are, and you shouldn't change anything that is true to yourself to be putting on social media, because at the end of the day, you want people to trust you for you. You want people to like your personality. You want people to like you and pick you as a coach, or, as to sign up for your programs or to be attracted to your content, because that's, personality at this point in our social media world with TikTok and with, the type of social media that's excelling right now. People care way more about the personality than they do about what the person looks like. So that's sort of a long-winded answer, but that's definitely the biggest piece of advice that I would give someone who wants to build social media following.
That's spot on, in my opinion, Ella. I think a lot of people can see right through the bull crap that exists anymore. It's just too easy. And, we live in a world where we see people, online, and then we see them in person, right? Like, I still remember the first time I had someone come up to the gym randomly, and, he comes up to me and he's like, yo, I saw your Instagram. I follow you on Instagram. I've seen your podcast. I've listened to that. And it just kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, wait a second. Like, this was like very early on when I only had a couple hundred people following me. And I was just very caught off guard by the fact that, someone like knew me based on what they saw online. So people are always, online because we're interconnected anymore. And we go around in person, we go about living our daily lives, and you never know who's going to come up to you. So making sure that who you are online matches who you are in person is essential, because if they don't match, you're going to get a lot of backlash, one, and two, it's just not a overly, you're not being transparent, one, but two, I just don't think it's the right thing to do, for lack of a better way to put it. I get that there are certain online aspects and like channels and stuff where people kind of act more like an actor or an actress than they do themselves. And depending on the context, like if it's something like, I'm not coming up with any good examples right now, but
I remember the first time that I ever had someone come up to me from my social media page, like so well, because I think you get really lost in the numbers on the screen a lot of the time, and the views and things like that. And I remember someone coming up to me. I was at a coffee shop in high school, and I was with my entire class. I don't remember why we were out, but all of us went to go. It's like one of the last days of school, I think. So we were all going out on, like, we went to go get coffee all together, and the cashier was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Ella Caggiano. I follow your fitness account. I think you're amazing." Like, all of this stuff. And it was just like such a crazy experience to me, because I was like, wow, even though there are people that aren't commenting, or there are people that aren't, always, like, I don't see in real life all the time. Like, there are so many people watching, even though you don't realize, like, do you understand what 100 people in a room looks like? If 100 people are following you, like, that's an unbelievable thing to fathom. Like, that, these are real people behind these screens that are really watching you, that are really being influenced by your words and your actions and the way that you are projecting yourself online. And I think one of the best compliments that can be received is that you are just like the person that you portray on social media, if that's a brand that you're trying to build. And it happens to me at school too sometimes, where people will come up to me in the gym, or people will come up to me, wherever, and say something about, hey, I follow your platform. I love it. You're doing great, all these things. And it's the most rewarding thing to realize that there are really people watching, when you're trying really hard to give people the realest version of yourself, and that there are actually people reacting and really understanding and feeling the things that you're putting out. Because you can never always tell. It's not like everyone's going to comment on your picture, or, you're never going to get, these people aren't going to be like cheering you on when you're posting stuff within your own apartment, right? Because you're alone. And so that makes a really big difference. And those are the moments that really ground me and remind me that there are people watching and that I am influencing people. And I don't really like the word influencer necessarily, but because of just sort of the connotation that it carries nowadays. But all in all, it's really an important thing to realize that as someone who is putting out educational or, comedic or, pleasure content, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, things for other people's enjoyment. What you say matters. And so, you have to be careful with what you do, and you have to really be aware that it's a huge responsibility to have other people be watching you if that's something that you're committed to. So, I've definitely had a fairly positive experience online with social because of just the fact that I put things out that I'm proud of. I show it as my resume, right? This is my life. This is something I'm proud of. This is something that I want other people to see. So it's a really big part of building an online presence, and more importantly, the longevity of that presence, because you can't always keep up the act.
Yeah, definitely. I do have some like real quick questions I want to ask you about kind of your online content and stuff. So I know a lot of people check out your page on Instagram, on TikTok, that sort of thing. I'm curious, what's your favorite exercise that you do at the gym that you're posting about?
Well, currently I'm on like the powerlifting programming. So I fall in and out of love with squat, bench, and deadlift, depending on like what month you ask me. So right now I'm really into bench press. Maybe last month it was deadlift, but the compound lifts are my favorite for sure. I really do like calisthenics. Like I love practicing like my box jumps and my push-ups and my handstand walks and things like that, which is definitely like not the same kind of exercise, but I really, really like practicing those balance and those more fun techniques for sure. Yeah, those are definitely my favorite for sure.
Yeah, your handstand walks are very impressive coming from someone who can't do a handstand yet. You are really impressive with all the stuff that you know how to do there. How about your favorite color? You wear much more colorful gym outfits than I do.
I like blue. Blue's my fave for sure. Everything I have is blue.
I definitely need to look more into the different color gym outfit because I show up in something like this and black shorts every single day. Like something about the black shorts, I don't know if they were on sale or something like that, but like my whole drawer back there is full of black shorts. So I need to start looking into all these different color schemes and actually investing in some quality gym wear. I say it's an investment. It's not a purchase. It's I don't know.
It's
I
an
feel like
investment.
yeah, gym wear is an investment.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I like dressing for the gym, I when they say like look good, feel good, like for me personally, like I really enjoy wearing. I'm not like super perfect with like matching sets and stuff like that, but I think there's merit in like going into the gym and wearing something you feel confident in. So I really like having my like wearing my different stuff that I have, and I work with First Form, so I wear a lot of their stuff. So
And I'm guessing you probably like the First Form supplements too then.
you should see my cabinet. It's completely stacked.
um,
Awesome.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny how everyone kind of develops their brand preference, right? Like, some
Yeah.
people will like we all start out in that kind of test the waters kind of phase where it's like, I'll try Legion, I'll try Gymshark, I'll try Lulu, I'll try Alpha Elite, and then the next thing you know, like you find one that sticks like to you or speaks to you, or I don't know, it feels right, fits right, whatever it is. And next thing you know, like that is your brand. Or
Yeah.
maybe you're just happy, you just happen to be lucky enough to get sponsored by them, which definitely helps too. But
Yeah, I had been wearing and using all of their stuff like for years beforehand. So, and also like Andy Frisella, the CEO of First Form, is the one who developed 75 Hard. So I feel very connected to that brand, to their messaging, and to the people that work there. So I support that brand not just for their supplements, which I think are wonderful, but for the people that they are and the message that they put out, I think is really, really important too. So that's my personal favorite for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Ella, where can people find out more about you? Online, on your website, that sort of thing.
So my website is Ella Cagg Fitness, www.ellacagfitness.com. I'm accepting applications on there right now. My full website launch is coming very soon. Same on TikTok at Ella Cagg Fitness. And as of right now, my Instagram is ellacagg.fitness. Hopefully I'll be getting that username back in the near future. I've been working on that a little bit. But yeah, no, you can find me in all those great places.
And even if you don't get that username back, all that content that you had posted for the past 3.5 years is still there. So if you do want to go to that username, you can check it out, even though there may or may not be any new content for a while. You can still check out the content that's there and take a look at, Ella's evolution over 3 or 4 years there.
That's right. Yeah, it's all right there, which is actually I'm grateful for that. But working with the team at Instagram and Meta right now, so we'll see what happens with that.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Ella, this has been an amazing conversation about pretty much everything relating to fitness and personal development and social media. Really appreciate your time and really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. If you like this episode, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. Also, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Brawn Body. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please drop a review. We love to read 5-star reviews. And last, make sure you share this episode with a friend who you think would enjoy the content that we've put out. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon.